Hello there. Today we are going to talk about grids, and it's much easier to talk about grids if we refer to specific examples, and that's what we are going to do. Okay, the first thing I'll do is log into my little demonstrator app here. Don't get too intimidated by the number of items that my application have. That's just for me, for this demonstration purpose. So the first thing that I'll do is illustrate what a grid is and what it is used for. There is one functionality of grids that's important for us, and it's snap to grid function. Or snap to position. Basically what that does is it allows you to position your objects accurately. So if you want to place a set of objects on the ground and you want them to line up, you would use the snap to grid functionality. Let's one good candidate that would require this sort of functionality is when you're trying to make like a path. Okay, so let's try to create an example around that. So I'm trying to find okay, pavements is the category of objects that would provide us with a set of pieces that we can assemble to create different types of paths. So we have an 8-meter, let's pick this 8-meter path here. It's fairly longish, and we can try to create very quickly to illustrate. Oh, did I remove it? Okay, let me try to, that was an error, user error. So now I'm going to select this and rotate by 90. It's a bit too close, so maybe if I click here, that should do it. Alright, so we have like a 90-degree corner here, and I can, if I want, maybe add a T-junction. Oh wow, okay, that was good eyeballing, so I got it straight away. So you can place your pieces easily to to create whatever you want, basically. So let me see. This one is going to place it somewhere here. Rotate. Maybe, okay, so you can see how easy it is to create like a path. Okay, so in this case we have used like a flat grid. Now I'm going to illustrate an example where you can have like a vertical grid. So we are going again to go into layout tools and pick like a vertical guide. This is very important because it will expand your creative opportunities. Alright, so now we have like a vertical grid, and why would you want to use that? Well, if you want to have like a grid that's vertical, you can use it. You can, what's the need for a vertical grid? Well, maybe you want to place pictures. So I would maybe place a picture here, and maybe I'm going to place, let's say, like smaller ones around that. We'll have another tutorial for pictures so that you get to know how to add those information, like picture information in those objects, and they will actually display images. let's focus on grids for now. So you can place objects on a vertical plane, and if you want to have any other orientation for the vertical grid, that's also possible. So just keep that in mind. Oh, I keep on removing the objects that I'm placing. So I'm going to rotate this, let's say 45 degrees. And, you know, I can add a grid, you know, at 45 degrees. So those are basically examples of 2D grids that you can place anywhere, and then you can add objects, you know, on top. Let's see what we can do. Nope, that's the internal, the flora. Maybe we can get some flowers, maybe. Okay. Let's do this. This is more interesting. So let's say you want to, sorry. Oh, what did I clicked on another application here. It's opening. All right, so we are back. Let me try to place those flowers in you know, in a fairly good. Alrighty. I hope I can make okay. So you can pretty much, you know, do all these neat things. Now let's look at another example where I have a 3D grid. Alright, so a 3D grid would be like a cube, and I could place it, let's place that here, and hope it doesn't, okay, that's good enough. You can create more complex objects with this. Let's try to create a tower, and you can see that even the grids are snapping to position. Okay, so I'm going to clone this and resize by 50 and then place it here. So I have this kind of tower design. And now just to differentiate from this type of building where you have, you know, you are using, you know, fairly complex objects like a tree. It's fairly complex. It's not like a simple Lego block. And you can, you know, place them and line them up. Just to, as a reminder, when you place those organic objects, if you want the look to be more natural, you'll have to enable randomization. And when you do that, every tree that's raised or created will be different from the rest. The size will be different and the orientation will be different. And that's enough to create a more natural, you know, look and feel. Okay, so what I was trying to say is that we can also use this snap to position feature in much simpler cases like here. Architectural elements maybe. Okay, so let's do this. Let us say we want to make like a little sculptural piece here. So you can build complex objects when you have out of simpler objects. I'm just doing this completely at random, and my only purpose here is to illustrate snap to grid using a 3D grid object, basically. So that's just an example using those panels, but you could have you know, plants that you would put on those on those grids, and the grids don't necessarily need to be like a cube. It could be pretty much anything if you want to, and that kind of opens up the design space a little. Well, let's do it. Rotate, rotate, and rotate. Oops. And if you remember, we can hide all these guides. These are really guides. Sorry, I want hit the mic. So I do this by, you know, signing out, and you can see that all these objects have been placed using grids. Can I use the back of this one to illustrate something else? There is another situation where you would want to use grids. For example, if you want to label something, you know. So let's do that. So those are like 3D letters that you can use to label your buildings or anything that you're creating, and you can do that. Just to give you an example, just to inspire you a little bit, so that you can make the best of all the various tools that's available.